Okay.
No, it's about love.
Okay. But obviously, one can't help but think of that old adage, wishing revenge upon someone's like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. So, can you talk about the theme of the film and what it was that drew you to this material?
We always dreamed to work on Alexandre Dumas material. It was a dream come true with the Three Musketeers, and for years we talked about the Comte de Monte Cristo with Matthieu, and it's always been a love story to us. That's an epic movie, a revenge movie, but it was really about emotions. And we always thought that the story, the Alexandre Dumas story, was really about a lost love. And it was a mostly romantic story for us since the beginning.
Yeah. Now, you look at this film and you go, it's fantastic. For anybody that doesn't know, it's the biggest, most successful non-comedy movie in the history of French cinema, right? But when you launched it, it was a bit of a scary time at the French box office, right? I mean, people were even saying that maybe the box office is dead forever, right? So can you talk about the guts that it took and the confidence that you had that this would succeed?
Well, I mean, it was not just a French thing, it was a general thing, which is what could potentially be an event again. But I guess we all, after COVID, wanted to, and there's different answers, but justify making a movie for, theaters. And, obviously we didn't know for sure, but we wanted to reconnect with the movies that made us want to make movies in the first place, the ones that we loved, growing up. And to many, it wasn't like an analysis of what could probably be an answer for box office performance, but it was what in our core justified movies. And we wanted to think, we thought about Cyrano de Bergerac, we thought about Indiana Jones, we thought about movies, that were frescoes, that were also very first degree sincere. We wanted to encompass the spirit of adventure, and we had started off with the Three Musketeers, but in a way Monte Cristo was in the same momentum, which is garnering Dumas' sense of epic adventure, but I don't think we have an answer. This year in French cinema is interesting because Emilia Perez, us, The Substance, very, very different takes. But I think in many ways, all these filmmakers have, re-examined what it is to justify making a movie for the big screen and came up with something that were very specific and singular to themselves. And this is the interesting moment. We have a movie in France called L'Amour, who is also doing very well, where you feel like audiences are also making it their own. There's a desire to share the conversation of a movie again. So you can never tell why that one movie is going to explode and be a gusher. I must say, there was a sense of how precious it is to be able to make those movies with those means. We shot pretty much entirely on location in France. And yeah, I guess we felt, okay, we're giving it our all. If that doesn't work, yeah, that would have been. But I don't think we've got a formula. And to many, to some respect, people, were telling, Monte Cristo, like as if they had seen it already. And we felt it had never been done in a truthful, at least in a way that encompassed the darkness also of Dumas, and because Matthieu and Alexandre really wanted to make it a love story, we needed to make sure that the sentiments were as large as possible. And so that there's, it wasn't so much about how can we make box office impact, it was how can we make sure that it's an event. And that, we reconnect with the movies that inspired us in the first place.
Well, I think one of the things that I found so striking about it, it's a great artistic film, and it's a hugely, obviously, commercial, audience-pleasing film, right? But the narrative construction is really sophisticated, right? You've got 3 villains, you've got multiple love interests, you're introducing some of these romantic relationships well into the movie, right? How much, can you just let us in a little bit in the conversations you were having in the pre-production phase about keeping all those balls in the air, and would a mass audience be able to track all that complex narrative?
Oh, that's very difficult to answer in English for me, but on s'est évidemment posé beaucoup de questions au moment de l'adaptation. Tu veux en parler un peu, Matthieu?
So we asked each other a lot of questions during the adaptation of the movie with Matthieu.
En fait, c'est un. Excuse me, I'm going to speak in French because I think it will be easier, faster, and maybe deeper than to answer in English. C'était une adaptation. Monte Cristo, c'est un très 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 gros livre.
So Monte Cristo is a really, really big book.
Je crois que c'est quelque chose comme 1400 pages.
About 1400 pages.
Et donc on avait envie d'essayer de se concentrer sur l'esprit du livre, sur le sens du livre, plutôt que sur faire quelque chose de littéral.
So we wanted to concentrate on the spirit of the book instead of trying to do something that was literal.
Et je dirais qu'à l'écriture, on a essayé de se concentrer sur vraiment les personnages, être au plus près des personnages.
So we tried to concentrate while we were writing on the characters actually.
Et quand on est parti en tournage, donc pour vous c'est un film pas très gros, mais pour nous c'est un très gros film en termes de budget.
So when we started shooting, for you guys it's not such a big movie, but for us it was really, really big.
Et on était obsédés avec Alexandre par la volonté de ne pas être submergé par les moyens. C'est-à-dire que vous pouvez faire du bateau, des chevaux, des bagarres, on peut faire beaucoup de choses, mais ce qui compte à l'arrivée, c'est les personnages, l'émotion, l'intime. Et on était obsédés avec Alexandre, quand tu parlais des boules qu'on jetait en l'air, on s'était dit que de toutes ces boules qui étaient en l'air, il fallait qu'on en garde une vraiment dans notre esprit, c'était l'émotion et le rapport des personnages entre eux.
So you're talking about all those balls that we kept in the air, and we were really obsessed by the characters and the emotion. We had all the means we could obsess about the writing and the boats, etc., but we were most interested in the emotion of the characters.
Et je crois aussi par rapport à la question de Jonathan, je pense aussi qu'il y a une chose qui est intéressante par rapport au romanesque, c'est que en revoyant aussi des séries, je pense ces dernières années, les spectateurs ont repris le goût au fil des intrigues complexes, des intrigues multiples. Et je pense qu'il y avait un plaisir dans la lecture du livre et qu'on a voulu retranscrire. C'est aussi que c'est un livre qui mélange un certain nombre de genres, et on a voulu aussi, dans ce film, couvrir un certain nombre de genres du cinéma, et je pense qu'il y a aussi un plaisir de cette complexité qui est assez jouissive.
So yes, so to answer the question of Jonathan, we did want to keep the complexity because we saw that actually the audience was getting more interested again in characters and stories that were more complex.
So I'm going to ask, I'm so curious about your collaboration, but I'm going to ask the question through the lens of two of your collaborators here, because it's so interesting. You have Jérôme, if I understand correctly, you've done all their films, correct? From the beginning? You've composed all their films? All the music for all the films, right. And Patrick, and by the way, I got a chance to meet you on Friday. I thought you were super nice. I was a little taken aback by the situation here. But what's interesting about your collaboration is, if I understand correctly, you worked on one of their first films.
The first film.
Yeah, and then not again until this film.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So how have you seen them? Was it a different experience coming back and working with them? Is their collaboration evolved from your first?
The first movie was a very little economic movie. Non, il y avait, le premier film, c'était un tout petit film indépendant.
It was a small independent movie, the first movie.
On a vraiment fait à l'arrache.
It's a little like guerrilla making.
Voilà, et donc c'était très très différent de se retrouver là avec ce film
So it's really different to be on the set
ambitieux,
of this
aussi
movie.
ambitieux. Mais finalement, les personnes ne changent pas.
But the people don't change.
Et ils ont la même approche.
That's not true, because Patrick was a very nice guy 20 years ago, and we waited him to become evil to work with him again.
I was a hero. The first movie, I was a hero. And the life changed me. It happens. Almost when you're an actor, you are waiting for roles. Yes, no, yes. It was a crazy story to make this movie, and I remember the first time ils m'ont appelé pour me dire que d'interpréter Danglars.
So they called me to tell me, would you like to play Danglars?
Et je me rappelais, j'avais lu le livre il y a très longtemps quand j'étais enfant.
And I remember when I was a kid, I used to read the book. It's a long time ago.
Quand je l'avais lu, j'avais haï ce personnage.
And I hated that character.
Et quand ils m'ont proposé, je l'ai trouvé super.
But when they offered it to me, I thought, wow, that's amazing.
Well, that's okay. So let me ask about that, because is playing a villain for you different than playing any other character?
Oui, évidemment.
Yes, of course.
Parce que les méchants, c'est souvent des très bons personnages à interpréter pour les acteurs.
Because to be an evil character are really, for the actors, a great
C'est
role to play.
souvent l'antagoniste. Donc, on a le héros, et puis on a l'antagoniste, le méchant, qui permet au héros d'être un super héros.
So you have the antagonist and you have the hero, and just because the antagonist is there, the hero can really be a hero.
Mais ce qui est intéressant quand on joue un méchant, c'est juste de ne pas le défendre. J'aime pas quand les acteurs disent je le défends comme un avocat.
So he doesn't, he said, you know, playing these kind of characters, you're not supposed to defend them. I don't like actors who say, I'm defending my character.
J'aime bien qu'on comprenne.
I want people to understand, and I want to understand the
Et
character.
donc pour comprendre, il faut se dire d'où vient tout ça, cette méchanceté. Et moi j'ai juste essayé de m'inventer l'enfance de ce personnage. Et parce que tout vient de l'enfance. Et c'est souvent mon travail que je fais quand je suis acteur. Je m'invente l'enfance du personnage.
So as an actor, I invented myself a background story as I was a kid, as he was a kid, actually, because a lot of things come from when you're a child. The wounds and everything come from when you're a child.
Et là, pour en faire vraiment un vrai salaud, j'ai imaginé une enfance absolument terrifiante.
So to be a really evil character, a bastard, I invented a character, a childhood that was really, really painful.
Voilà. Il était mousse, orphelin, sur un...
He was an orphan on a boat.
Voilà. Et comme tous ces gens-là, ils étaient abusés, violentés, et du coup, ça crée cette violence en lui. Voilà.
So as a lot of times happens in those circumstances, he was abused, and that created this anger and this violence inside of him.
Okay, I think Dimitri is optioning that movie right after this meeting. Jérôme, let me ask you, because you collaborated with him, you mentioned something the other day, which is that the fact that you have this close collaboration with these guys, it enables you to take risks that you might not take if you're working with a filmmaker for the first time. Can you talk about that a little bit? Maybe give an example of something in this film that illustrates that?
Yes, it's true that working together, we've made many movies before, and then it's kind of working in family, you know. So we can try things that I can give any of my ideas and to Alexandre and Matthieu, and if it's no good, we discuss about it, and we taking all the ideas I have, they have for the music, and then we take the best. And I think it's a very important thing to make all the music for this film. That it's very rare in France to have the occasion to have the music so important in a movie, you know, and to make this, we had to work a lot and to discuss a lot about the ideas.
So you have a book that's, depending on the font size, 600 to 1,400 pages, right? You've got a 3-hour movie, okay? As I understand it, this movie is at least an hour longer than any other movie you've directed, okay? Can you talk about that? Can you talk about that extra, making something longer like that? Is that, from a creative standpoint, a different experience for you? Both as directors and also actually as, I'm curious, as a composer.
Le fait que ce soit 3 heures, donc généralement c'était
If it
2
was
heures.
up to them, it would have been a 7-hour movie.
Yeah. At the beginning, we had a very perfect 4-hour script.
They looked at me,
And
they looked at me dead in the eye. It was 50 pages longer, the script. And they looked at me and said, it runs 2 hours and 20 minutes. We had it timed. You know, anything below will be. But no, I will say, Matthieu and Alexandre are producers, directors that had written The Three Musketeers, that's scriptwriters. They are only driven by their care of story. So the process was very iterative. We were in a progress to production type structure, so we knew we were going to shoot. And to give you a little bit of an anecdote, the way we set up the financing, we were not sharing a script, they were telling the story. So they would have those oral pitching sessions.
so it was 3 hours pitching sessions. It was huge.
But they had a lot of freedom in terms of how to choose, digest, exchange, and it was a process that almost lasted 8 months. Of between the first, you know, what we call the first draft, the real first draft, and normally probably a 8 months iterative process.
It was a production decision to make a 3 hours movie because we had the feeling that for the audience we needed 3 hours to tell the story. That we were sure with Matthieu and Dimitri that it was important for the audience. A 3-hour movie, it's a big adventure.
By the way, the biggest decision was to make just one movie.
Yeah.
That was their conviction, which is it would have been too frustrating. It was very tough in terms of decision, but they were absolutely convinced it had to be just the one movie.
Well, I mean, it's so satisfying at the end. I have so many more questions, but they gave me the signal to wrap up. So I just want to thank you again for bringing this film here and sharing it with us. And,
Thank you so much. Thank you.